Hello, my name is Bert Smith. One of the most notable entrepreneurs in American history was Paul D. Cravath. Katrina Dewey stated, "The name Paul Cravath is one of the most enduring in American legal history." But in 1883, he was just another young attorney in vastly over his head representing George Westinghouse against Thomas Edison in the battle to electrify the United States. John Oler indicated, quote, "The growing industrialization and urbanization of the country in the post-Civil War era and the increasing number, complexity, and sheer size of corporations called for a new kind of lawyer, a practical man of business, whose skills were more than those of a negotiator, a facilitator, and a drafter of documents than those of a trial advocate." Pages 37 and 8. Paul Cravath graduated from Oberlin College in 1882, where the faculty called him brilliant but a mischief maker, and he graduated from Columbia Law School in 1886. He was apprenticed in the law firm of Carter, Hornblower, and Byrne, and was made partner in the renamed Carter, Hughes, and Cravath on January 1, 1888. Oler states, quote, "Now Westinghouse was seeking someone talented and energetic enough to represent him in his increasingly bitter legal battles with Thomas Edison. It would make Cravath's name within New York's legal and business community." Page 38. Cravath joined the firm of Cravath, Swain, and Moore in 1899, where he developed what would become his historic legal system. During the late 19th century, there were significant changes in the legal profession, including increase in the numbers of lawyers and growing calls for organization and professionalism, leading to the formation of the American Bar Association in 1878. This professionalism led to the adoption of unauthorized practice restrictions and leading law schools adopting Langdell's case law model in law schools. J.B. Rule states, quote, "Finally, Paul Cravath developed the, quote, Cravath system, unquote, of the modern law firm in which young lawyers were salaried, rotated through departments, and advanced in an up or out stairway to partnership." By 1940, these three trends had formed a profession that began to look like the one we have today. And we'll take a deeper look at these trends in our Week 4 blog concerning the early 20th century. In our video lecture this week, Dr. Carrie Roberts explains that what makes an entrepreneur unique is the ability to move ideas and stuff from one set of societal relationships to another. The key theme underpinning both the Industrial Revolution and entrepreneurship was this idea of improvement. Cravath was reflective of the age in which he lived. As noted by Lawrence Friedman in the late 19th century, quote, "The corporate giants hired their own law firms and had lawyers on their staffs as captives or collaborators. Other big corporations needed whole armies to do their legal chores, big and small." Richard Bensell notes that the industrial national market developed during the late 19th century as a result of factors including a national railway system and lack of government regulation of large interstate corporations was fostered by federal and state courts. Bensell's work reflects that increased industrialization brought about increased litigation and regulatory efforts, requiring the skill set as well as the increased number of attorneys. Indeed, Bensell notes that from 1890 to 1937, the Supreme Court was, quote, "the dominant force in the construction of a national market economy," pages 335 to 6. Similarly, he demonstrates that railroad litigation was particularly profitable, quote, "because railroad litigation was the primary staple of many private lawyers' practices, and because lawyers were so prominent in politics, railroad attorneys appeared at times to dominate American public life," at page 346. In reviewing our further readings this week, in what he terms the tragedy of the commons, or societal ruin resulting from individual achievement, Garrett Hardin's solution to the tragedy of the commons is government regulation and privatization. However, Brett Frischman notes that Hardin's argument fails because the basic economic model of congestion assumes homogeneous uses not applicable in the real world. Page 222. Further, Hardin's model of simple economic value fails to account for the social value of railroads as generators of societal improvement. In looking at the development of industry in the West, David Danbaum demonstrates that town building arose in part from the arrival of the railroad. In regard to settlement of the West, he notes that settlers carried their traditions and customs from other places to the plains. Danbaum states, quote, "The people creating a social, economic, and political life on the plains understandably took their models from what they knew." Page 71. Similarly, we can imagine that Cravath brought his life experience with him to develop his economic model for law firms. Thank you for watching.